Hello, this is Dave Stender. I'm a swine specialist for Iowa State University Extension. Muscle energy can be used from two different sources, and it's important in this quality discussion. Aerobic energy, let's call it energy that's readily available, or ATP, is one source. If the activity level of the body is low impact, low energy, then the body can make their energy source, the ATP, faster than it's needed. And commonly we call this aerobic exercise. So it's walking, it's mild calisthenics, those kinds of things. Higher use energy situations use up all the available ATP, forcing the body to break down stored energy from a source called glycogen, which is a starch, breaks it down and makes ATP from the stored sugar called glycogen. But there's a cost to doing this. As you break down the stored sugars, the glycogen, we release both ATP and lactic acid. Too much lactic acid released too fast is a problem in a couple of different. The first way is the pig is overstressed during the loading process and exercised too heavily. So it's not aerobic exercise, it's anaerobic exercise, and you get a lot of lactic acid breakdown. The simple oversimplification is that this lactic acid overwhelms the buffer system of the pig in the blood, resulting in what's called a fatigue pig. The pig just goes down. It can't get up and will likely die if you try to get it up at this point. More stress to the pig at this point would be fatal. If the pig's allowed to rest, say within 24 hours of rest, a lot of times these pigs will recover fully. The second problem with lactic acid is that overstressed pigs breaking down glycogen into energy with that lactic acid byproduct, if they're harvested and the blood is taken out of the animal, the lactic acid remains in the muscle. And in general, the more lactic acid that remains in the muscle after the pig is harvested and the blood's removed, the lactic acid will denature the meat protein in the muscles and result in a tougher and drier. If you're selling a high quality kind of pork product, this is the kind of thing you want to avoid. So there's this is called the 24-hour pH measurement in meat. And if it drops, if the pH, the lactic acid caused, the pH is acid, and it causes pH to drop. And if it drops too fast and too low in the first 24 hours postpartum, then that's a very high correlation indicator that the meat will be tough. So there's basically two ways that you can reduce the lactic acid in the meat 24 hours postmortem. The first way is to keep the pig very calm through the stun and stick process. In other words, you keep the pig with aerobic exercise all the way, loading onto the truck, unloading the truck into the harvest room, and all the way into the harvest. This is partly done in the packing plants because they require a 3-hour rest after the pigs are unloaded. The second possible way that you can change the ultimate pH of the carcass and actually make your meat a little better is to actually stimulate some anaerobic exercise a day or two before the harvest. And so you use up some of the stored glycogen. And so you sort the pigs and you move them into a different yard a couple of days before. And then I would suggest, as in this picture, that you don't feed them carbs, but they feed more of a fiber diet, more of wheat mids or that kind of a diet. So you limit the number of carbon source calories before the harvest and change the diet over to fiber. It's been shown that pigs that are hauled for long distances actually have more tender meat than pigs that are hauled for short distances, and that relates back to this: how much glycogen's in the system, how stressed are the pigs, how long the time do they have to relax before the harvest is done. So all these things are things to think about if you're selling a high meat quality product. There's a pork board publication that lists 10 things that affect the lactic acid in meat post-harvest, and some of these things are at the packing plant, some of it's genetics, most of it is loading and handling. And so these are just ideas to think about for improving meat quality as you load pigs onto the truck. This is Dave Stender, Iowa State University Extension swine specialist in Northwest Iowa. Have a good day.